A routine traffic stop turns hostile in seconds when Officer Brent Cooper pulls over a calm black woman on her way to work. What begins with a loud, disrespectful command quickly escalates as Cooper's entitlement and unchecked aggression take center stage. But a subtle shift in the woman's tone and the unnoticed eye of a stranger plants the seed of something bigger: license and registration. Now, and keep your damn hands where I can see 'em. The words sliced through the silence like a switchblade, loud enough to make heads turn across the small-town intersection. It was 7:42 a.m., Tuesday morning traffic. Commuters, parents, joggers, coffee sippers, everyone watched. Officer Brent Cooper stood tall beside the vehicle, chest puffed under his Kevlar, one hand on his holstered sidearm. His tone wasn't one of protocol. It was possession. The car's windows were tinted, but he hadn't cared to run the plate before slamming his sirens. Just the sight of a black woman in a late-model Tesla was enough. As the tinted window rolled down, slow and smooth, it revealed a calm woman in a charcoal blazer, gold brooch pinned to the lapel. Her hair was styled into tight coils, sleek against her scalp, and her eyes met his with the kind of stillness that unnerved men like Brent. She didn't speak. She didn't flinch. Brent sneered. "Did I stutter, or do you not speak English?" His voice dripped with condescension, and the nearby onlookers tensed, unsure whether to intervene or pretend this wasn't happening. A boy on a bicycle paused. Behind a lamppost, a woman with a baby stroller stopped mid-step. Across the street, an elderly man lowered his newspaper, and behind the tinted windshield of a parked SUV, a hand holding a phone began to record. The woman moved slowly, opening her glove box without breaking eye contact. Her hands were deliberate. She retrieved her documents, then placed them on the dashboard in plain view. "I don't believe you told me why I was pulled over," she said quietly. "Excuse me?" Brent stepped closer. She turned to him fully now. "Is there a reason you're yelling and reaching for your weapon before you've even explained the stop?" Brent's knuckles whitened. "Step out of the vehicle." "Am I being detained?" "I said step out." "On what grounds?" Brent didn't answer. He pulled the door open himself and reached inside. That's when it happened. She didn't resist, didn't raise her voice, didn't touch him, but her eyes didn't blink. "You should probably check who I am before you finish this sentence," she said coldly. "And you might want to look behind you." Brent turned, annoyed, and spotted the SUV across the road. The window was down, a phone clearly aimed at him. The screen was glowing red, recording. His stomach turned. Still holding the door open, he looked back at the woman. She had now placed her badge next to the registration. It wasn't a police badge. It was federal, gold, heavy, embossed with the seal of the United States Department of Justice. His mouth opened, then shut, then opened again. The woman reached for her phone, tapped once and raised an eyebrow. "You just assaulted a federal civil rights prosecutor, Officer Cooper," she said evenly. On camera, across the street, more phones were out now. A small crowd had gathered. The boy behind the lamppost whispered, "Dude, he's done." Brent froze. The badge, the camera, the crowd, the silence. It all closed in on him like a vice. The woman's voice dropped to a whisper as she leaned forward. Her words were razor-sharp. "They told me this town had a problem. I didn't know it wore a badge and carried a gun." And with that, she smiled faintly. Fade to black. "License and registration. Now, and keep your damn hands where I can see." The sound of the shout echoed like a gunshot through the sleepy morning streets of Willowdale, a town where the sidewalks were usually filled with joggers, coffee sippers, and mothers guiding strollers. Not today. Everyone turned. The scene was right at the intersection of Main and Beach, where the school buses hadn't yet rolled in, and the coffee shop crowd was still lingering in line. A Tesla Model S, sleek, silver, clean, sat pulled over, engine still humming. Blue lights flashed against its polished surface. Officer Brent Cooper stood stiff beside it, hand grazing his holstered sidearm like he was ready for a shootout. But there was no threat, just a woman, a black woman. She was alone in the car, calm, wearing a charcoal grey pantsuit that clung to her like armor. Her hair was pinned in intricate coils, and she didn't flinch when he screamed. Instead, she lowered the window slowly. Her hands never left the wheel. Inside the car, the world was quiet. Air freshener scent. Classic jazz, low. On the radio, leather seats, a laptop case resting in the back. Neatly pressed files clipped on the passenger seat. Outside, Brent's jaw was already tight. He hated stops like this, not because of fear, but because women like her never played small. "You deaf?" he barked again, stepping closer to the car. "Or just arrogant?" The woman turned her head and looked at him, calm, focused, no fear. Her voice was low, like velvet wrapped around steel. "I'm reaching into my glove box." Slowly, "for my license and registration." She moved, deliberate, graceful, no sudden movements. She retrieved a black leather folder, set it on the dash, then placed both hands back on the steering wheel. Brent didn't thank her, didn't even glance at the documents. Instead, he stared. Hard. "Where you headed?" he demanded. "Work. Where do you work?" "Downtown." "Doing what?" She paused, not because she was unsure, but because his tone was already sliding toward something darker. "Law," she said. Brent's eyes narrowed. "Law, huh? You a secretary or something?" "No." "Then what?" Before she could answer, he slammed his palm against the doorframe. The car jolted. "I don't like games," he growled. "Step out of the vehicle." "Am I being detained?" He smirked. "Don't pull that YouTube crap with me. Step out. Now." Across the street, the barista inside the Java spot stopped mid-pour. A student leaned forward against a bike rack. A man in a pickup truck pulled into the lot and didn't leave his seat. Someone inside a parked SUV raised a phone. The woman didn't move, but her expression shifted just slightly, like the air had thickened. "I'd like to know the reason." "For the stop," she said. "You haven't stated any violation." Brent yanked open the car door. His hand grazed her shoulder, and that's when everything slowed down. She didn't scream, didn't resist. Instead, she reached with 2 fingers into her coat pocket and retrieved a small gold badge. She placed it beside the registration. Then she turned to face him. "You might want to look at that before you go any further." Brent glanced down, paused. His mouth opened. Then slowly, the blood drained from his face. DOJ, United States Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. Senior federal prosecutor, his eyes twitched. But before he could recover, she nodded slightly toward the street behind him. "You're also being recorded." He turned, a phone, across the street, clearly aimed at him, and now others too. 3 people with cameras, 2 more stepping out of their vehicles, silent witnesses with glowing screens. The sidewalk was no longer empty, and the bystanders were no longer pretending. The boy behind the lamppost whispered, "Yo, this guy's toast." Brent turned back to the woman, who was now holding her own phone, calmly aiming it at his nameplate. "I suggest you step back, Officer Cooper," she said. "You're moments away from assaulting a federal official." Silence. A long one. His breath hitched. For a second, he considered doubling down. Then he stepped back. His boots scraped against the asphalt. She didn't move. "I didn't stutter," she said coldly. "You assaulted a government employee, attempted an unlawful extraction from a vehicle, and brandished your weapon without cause." Brent didn't reply. His face burned. "And you'll need a copy of that video, too," she added. "I'm sure Internal Affairs will." He opened his mouth, but words wouldn't come. Instead, she leaned forward slightly. Her tone dropped like a stone into water. "You know, they sent me to this district for a reason." Pause. "They said there was a pattern here of abuse, overreach, intimidation." She turned the phone toward his face, let it linger for a moment, then dropped it into her lap. I guess you just became the pattern. The SUV across the road revved and drove off slowly. The woman inside gave a slight nod as she passed. A reckoning had begun. Brent stood frozen, not knowing what to say, not knowing how much was already online, and the woman. She started the engine, but before pulling off she gave him one last look, soft, cutting, and unforgettable. They thought I'd be scared, she said, another pause. But they forgot. I write the laws they break. Fade out. There was a chill in the station that morning, the kind that crawled along the back of your neck when something unsaid had weight. Even the old coffee machine gurgled in silence, as if it knew the air wasn't right. At precisely 9:06 a.m., Officer Brent Cooper stormed through the front doors of the Willowdale Police Department. His steps were fast, sharp, military style. His face, usually smug, flushed with power, was pale. He didn't make eye contact with anyone, didn't flash the half-smile he usually did when he walked in. Instead, he marched straight to the report room, behind the front desk. 21-year-old Dispatcher Melanie Young watched him go. She'd seen Brent in all moods before, cocky after routine stops, joking after minor arrests. But never like this. This was something else. She clicked her pen nervously, then picked up her phone. Across the hall in a glass-walled cubicle, Lieutenant Darren Hall sat watching footage on his monitor. The clip had no sound, just visuals. Cooper, yanking open the car door. The woman, still, calm, her badge. The crowd filming, his hand on the holster. And the moment he stepped back, he paused the video on Brent's face. The exact frame where he realized who she was. It was the face of a man unraveling. Darren rubbed his temples. The room felt smaller every time he replayed it. The video had hit Twitter by 8:07 a.m. By 8:32, it was on Reddit. By 8:58, Willowdale Cop was trending nationally. And at 9:00, an email from the DOJ had hit the chief's inbox. Lieutenant Melanie's voice crackled through the intercom. What? There's a woman online too. Says her name is Agent Chambers. DOJ. He didn't reply right away. Just reached for the phone and pressed the button. This is Lieutenant Hall. Lieutenant, came a crisp, composed voice. This is Senior Prosecutor Alana Chambers. I believe one of your officers had an encounter with me this morning. Darren cleared his throat. Yes, ma'am. I saw the footage. I'm not calling for an apology, yet. I'm calling to inform you that I've already submitted a preliminary report to Internal Affairs. I'll also be forwarding a civil rights violation memorandum to your district attorney. You'll receive formal notice by noon. Darren closed his eyes. I expect full cooperation, she said, and transparency. You'll have it, he replied. Click no goodbye, no softness, just justice, unfiltered. In the back hallway, Brent was seated at the report desk, typing with stiff fingers. Every few seconds, he backspaced, wiped sweat from his upper lip. He knew this wasn't going away. He tried to word it clean. Subject was non-compliant. Subject was acting erratically. I feared for my safety, but no amount of editing could erase the fact that it had all been filmed, every word, every step, every abuse. He didn't finish the report because deep down he knew it was already too late. In the break room, Officer Sherry Vance was scrolling on her phone. Her brows furrowed. She hit play again and watched the video. She'd been with the department 15 years, seen it all. But this was different. Damn it, Brent, she muttered under her breath. Then she looked up and noticed Officer Jordan Pike leaning against the doorway. You saw it too? She asked. He nodded. He's toast. Think they'll try to bury it? Jordan gave her a look. You kidding? DOJ's already involved. This one's not going under any rug. In her office downtown, Alana Chambers was seated at her desk, back straight, blazer still crisp, not a single curl out of place. But her fingers moved fast across the keyboard. She wasn't writing a complaint. She was writing a speech. Because what Brent didn't know, what the whole town didn't know, was that Alana had arrived in Willowdale as part of an ongoing federal audit on systemic abuse patterns in rural precincts. She hadn't even unpacked her boxes yet. But now she had her opening. Her phone buzzed. "Mom, baby, what happened? You on the news?" Alana exhaled. She hadn't called anyone yet. Not even her team. She typed back, "I'm okay. We'll explain later. Love you." She hit send, then returned to the video. She watched herself in slow motion, calm, precise, measured. The slap hadn't been physical, but it had landed. At the police station, Brent sat alone in the locker room, his hands trembling slightly. His phone vibrated again and again, lighting up with messages. "Dad, call me now!" Group chat, precinct bros. "WTF did you do, man?" Chief Martin. "In my office, 10 minutes." He swallowed hard. 10 minutes later, Brent stood in front of Chief Malcolm Martin's desk. The blinds were closed. The mood was ice. "I'm going to ask you once, Cooper," the chief said slowly. "Is there anything in that video that we don't see?" Brent hesitated. "No, sir." "You sure?" "Yes, sir." The chief leaned back, tapped a pen against his desk. "Then congratulations," he said dryly. "You just made us national news for all the wrong reasons." Brent tried to speak, but Malcolm cut him off. "She's not just DOJ, Brent. She's the lead prosecutor on the department's ongoing audit. You assaulted the person investigating us. You understand how bad that is?" Silence. Malcolm stood, walked around the desk, and faced Brent head-on. "I don't care how long you've worn that badge. This time there's no sweep, no silence, no cover." Brent looked down. "You're suspended," the chief said. "Effective immediately." Brent's breath caught. Badge, gun. Now. Brent removed them, slow and mechanical, as if each item weighed 10 pounds. He placed them on the desk. For the first time in his career, he didn't feel powerful. He felt naked. As Brent walked out of the office, he passed Jordan Pike, who didn't speak, just watched. Behind him, Chief Martin turned and looked out the window. In the distance, a storm was building. The rain had started just after dusk. Not heavy, just steady, like the sky was whispering something no one wanted to hear out loud. Alana Chambers sat on the edge of her hotel bed, laptop open, DOJ documents sprawled across the desk. Her blazer hung neatly on the back of the chair. She was still in her blouse, sleeves rolled just below the elbow, gold watch catching the soft lamplight. The television was muted, but the headlines were clear. DOJ prosecutor, confronted by local. Got viral video sparks, federal response. Who is Alana Chambers? She closed the laptop, took a breath, then turned toward the window. The hotel room was cold, impersonal, sterile. But she didn't need comfort tonight. She needed clarity. Because this whole town, was exactly why she joined the DOJ in the first place. It was why she stopped being afraid. She had been 12 when her father was pulled from his car on a warm Georgia night. A tail light, they said. Broken. A routine stop. But the way they dragged him from the seat, the way her mother screamed from the passenger side, and the way young Alana sat in the back seat frozen, those images never left her. Her father had been a teacher, never broke a law in his life. But he was cuffed, humiliated, and thrown into a cruiser while the officer spat tobacco on the sidewalk. They let him go. Hours later, no charges, just a warning, no apology, no justice. That night, Alana had stared into the cracked ceiling of their home and made herself a promise. I will become the system they fear. Years passed. Harvard Law, Civil Rights Clinic, clerkship under Judge Layla Monroe. Her resume grew like fire spreads, controlled, then impossible to stop. She never chased headlines, never gave interviews, but her name traveled through back channels. The woman who didn't flinch, the one who made departments nervous, and now she was in Willowdale. a small dot on a map, but a town with a thick file of complaints, enough to warrant a federal audit. She was supposed to observe first, quietly, but Brent Cooper had lit the match. Now the blaze was hers to command. Alana stood up and crossed the room, her bare feet silent on the carpet. She poured herself a glass of water, sipped slowly, then picked up her phone. 2 missed calls, one from her mother, one from a contact at NBC. She ignored both. Instead, she called her assistant. "Janine," she said as the line connected. "Start. Compiling everything on Willowdale PD. I want officer records, complaint logs, and every public body cam review from the last 2 years." "Yes, ma'am," came the reply. "Already halfway done. You're trending everywhere. CNN just picked it up." "I'm not here to trend," she said quietly. "I'm here to clean house." She hung up. Back at the Willowdale precinct, Lieutenant Hall stood in the records room, reviewing boxes that hadn't been touched in years. A dust cloud rose as he opened the 3rd one. Complaints. Old ones, handwritten, faded, some from black residents who'd since moved away, some never followed up, some marked "no action required." He found one that stopped him cold. Complainant. Maria Bennett, date 03/19/2018, filed against Officer Brent Cooper. Her words were shaky, barely legible. He pulled me over and said, "I don't care who you think you are." He laughed when I asked for his badge number. He told me, "I'll write your name in pencil so it's easier to erase." Darren exhaled. None of this had ever made it into Cooper's file. Because Cooper had friends. Friends like former Chief Randall, friends like Judge Winthrop, people who closed doors before light could enter. But not anymore. At 6:37 a.m., Alana walked into the DOJ's temporary field office on the 2nd floor of the municipal building. Her team had already arrived, laptops open, coffee steaming, charts pinned to boards, names on lists, data flashing on screens. She stood at the center of the room. "All right," she said. "Let's talk strategy." A young analyst raised his hand. "We flagged 37 excessive force complaints in Willowdale alone over the past 5 years. Most of them closed without investigation." "Patterns?" she asked. "Mostly black and Latino victims. All male officers involved. Repeat names." "Cooper? 3. On paper, 7 verbal, 2 never filed." Alana nodded. "We start interviews today. Quiet ones. Victims. Former officers. Anyone who left after filing a complaint. I want every file scanned. I want timelines. And I want silence. No leaks. No statements." Her team nodded in unison. She looked to her left. "Angela," she said, "you're meeting with the mayor in 30. Be direct. Either he helps us or we remind him what obstruction looks like." "Yes, ma'am." "And tell him we already have probable cause to expand the audit." She turned back to the room. "This isn't just about Brent Cooper," she said. "This department is rotten from the roots." Silence, then nods. The hunt had begun. Meanwhile, Cooper sat in his apartment, blinds drawn, drinking black coffee from a chipped mug. His phone buzzed endlessly. He turned it off. He hadn't left since being suspended. His voicemail was full. His email flooded. And the news wouldn't stop replaying that damn video. He cursed aloud. Threw the mug against the wall. Shards flew. He wasn't sorry, not really. He was angry at her, at the cameras, at the world for watching, at himself for getting caught. He pulled out his laptop, opened a burner account, started typing in forums, police forums, angry ones. Places where people called her that federal witch and said things like, "This is what happens when they get too much power." He typed, paused, deleted it all. No one was going to save him now. He wasn't a martyr. He was a fool with a badge. At City Hall, the mayor stood red-faced behind his desk, staring at a printed screenshot of the video. His assistant looked pale. "She's coming for us," the assistant said. "You need to call the council." The mayor grunted. "She's not here for me." "No, sir," the assistant said. "She's here for all of us." The mayor stared out the window. For the first time in years, he saw his own city clearly, and it terrified him. Room 206 of the DOJ's field office had been transformed into an interview space overnight. No interrogation chairs, no bright overhead lights, just two padded seats across a small table and a carafe of water between them. Alana sat upright, tablet in hand, as the door creaked open. Angela, her junior investigator, stepped in first, followed by a man in his mid-40s. Thin, shoulders slumped, skin tight around his eyes like sleep had long forgotten him. His name was Terence Hall, once a delivery driver, now unemployed. Quiet, invisible, until now. Mr. Hall, Alana stood and offered a hand. "Thank you for coming." Terence looked unsure, but he took her hand anyway. His grip was weak, not from cowardice, but from years of learned silence. "You can sit wherever you're comfortable," she said. He sat down slowly. Like each bone in his back remembered something, Angela took a position in the corner, quiet but alert, as Alana pressed record. "This is Alana Chambers, Senior Prosecutor, Civil Rights Division," she began. "Interview conducted on site. Willowdale Field Office, April 23rd, 10:32 a.m. Present with me is Mr. Terence Hall. Mr. Hall, do I have your permission to record this conversation?" He nodded once. "Yes," he said hoarsely. "Can you confirm you previously filed a complaint against the Willowdale Police Department in 2020? "Yes." "Tell me what happened." He took a breath, then stared at his hands. "I was on my lunch break," he began. "Delivering packages. Got pulled over on Shelby Street. Said I ran a stop sign. I didn't. I knew I didn't. But I kept calm." He paused. His fingers tightened. There were 3 officers. One stayed in the car, one walked the perimeter, and the third, he did the talking, said my plates looked off. Told me to step out. His voice started to crack. I asked why. I was polite. But he grabbed my door, yanked me out. Slammed. Me on the hood. I was cuffed, kneed in the back. I remember the sound my shoulder made when it popped. I begged. I said, please, I didn't do anything. But he just kept going. Alana leaned forward softly. Do you remember the officer's name? Terence nodded. Brent Cooper. Angela's eyebrows lifted. But he wasn't the only one, Terence added. Alana's gaze sharpened. There was another. He stayed. In the car. Didn't stop it, didn't say a word, just watched. After they left me bruised and bleeding on the sidewalk, he rolled down his window and said... Terence closed his eyes. Alana waited. He said, you should be glad we didn't. Do worse. Next time, shut your mouth. Silence. Alana spoke gently. Do you remember that officer's name? Terence hesitated. I think it was Winthrop. Angela stepped forward. Judge Winthrop? Terence looked confused. He wasn't a judge back then. He was a sergeant. Alana's heart rate quickened. Judge Harold Winthrop, the same man who now presided over half of Willowdale's civil court cases. The same man who had dismissed 3 excessive force lawsuits in the past year. The same man known for his tough love speeches in sentencing hearings. He wasn't just protecting the system. He was the system. Alana ended the recording and turned to Angela. Pull every case Winthrop's ever touched involving police conduct. I want them stacked and reviewed by midnight. Angela was already writing. Terence stood slowly, like he didn't know if he'd done the right thing. You did good, Mr. Hall, Alana said softly. We're going to make sure this doesn't get buried again. He nodded. A tear slipped from his left eye, not one of sadness, but release. As he left, Alana turned back to the wall where photos and case files were pinned. She stared at Winthrop's face. The noose was tightening, and now she had a name to wrap it around. At Willowdale's city courthouse, Judge Winthrop sat in chambers sipping scotch from a coffee mug. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Voicemail. Received, he played it. You remember Terence Hall. He remembers you. Winthrop froze. The voice was distorted. Click. He set the mug down, then walked to his cabinet and opened a small lockbox. Inside were old case folders. One of them labeled Hall Terence, 2020. He opened it, but the folder was empty. Across town, in a modest two-bedroom apartment, Terence sat with his daughter Layla eating reheated pizza on the couch. She was 10, bright, her hair tied in colourful clips, her voice high with joy as she talked about school, her art teacher, her new crayons. Terence watched her as she spoke. He hadn't felt this light in years. He had finally spoken, finally been heard. And for the first time in forever, he wasn't afraid. Back at the DOJ field office, Alana stood over a new board Angela had just finished pinning. 3 columns: victims, officers, outcome. At the bottom, Angela had scribbled a note. Too many complaints. Not enough justice. This town was designed to forget. Alana added one more name beneath the officers' list, Winthrop, then circled it. At the station, Chief Martin paced his office, sweating. He'd just gotten a call from City Hall. DOJ's. Digging into the judges now, the mayor had said. They're asking for your emails, Malcolm. Martin rubbed his forehead. They're not just here for Cooper anymore, the mayor continued. This is a full sweep. Martin opened his laptop and stared at his inbox. The subject line of the latest email chilled him. Request: complete personnel and disciplinary files, all officers. Last 10 years below that? Request: internal memo logs involving Brent Cooper and Sergeant Winthrop, 2015 to present and the sender, U.S. Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division. Martin exhaled, then hit print. It started with dust, the kind that clung to forgotten. Folders, old cases, and the memories no one wanted to revisit. Angela sat cross-legged on the floor of the field office's archive room, surrounded by half-labeled boxes. One of them read WPD, Internal Complaints, Closed, 2015-2020. She'd been digging for hours, highlighting timelines, mapping patterns, and flagging repeat offenders. Her hands were dry, wrists sore, and her phone battery dead. But something kept her going, something beyond instructions. It was the quiet certainty that the answers they needed were hiding in silence, in pages others had skipped. She reached into the bottom of the box and pulled out a thick red file, marked Case 37, Excessive Force, 2016. No formal investigation. Angela flipped it open. A few typed pages, a handwritten statement, a blurred photocopy of a medical chart, and then, tucked behind the last sheet, a loose color photograph. Slightly bent, high gloss. Angela froze. It was a candid photo. Someone's body cam, maybe. It showed 2 officers in a dim hallway, standing over a black teenage boy in a hoodie. The boy looked dazed, as if he'd just been thrown to the ground. Blood on his cheek. Hands out, palms up. But that wasn't what caught her attention. It was the man standing behind the officers, in plain clothes, slightly out of focus, watching. Angela leaned closer. She recognized him. She ran out of the room. Alana was reviewing transcripts when Angela burst in. "Ma'am," she started, breath short, holding the photo. "You need to see this." Alana stood. Angela placed the photo on the desk. Alana stared, then slowly picked it up, her brow furrowed. The hallway, the boy, the officers. Then her eyes found the man in the background. She went still. Her fingers tightened around the photo. Angela leaned forward. I know who that is," Alana said, voice flat. Angela waited. "That's Assistant U.S. Attorney Marcus Langston." Angela's jaw dropped. "The federal prosecutor?" she asked. "Yes, but what would he be doing at the scene of a local excessive force case?" Alana didn't answer right away. She just looked at the image longer, as if trying to reach into it. "Marcus was my mentor," she said finally. He helped recruit me into the DOJ after law school. I haven't spoken to him in over 3 years. Angela blinked. Did you have a falling out? No, Alana said. He vanished. Angela stared. Vanished? Disappeared from the DOJ without a word. No notice, no farewell email, no case handoffs. One day he was there, next day gone. They told us he took a leave of absence for mental health. Angela looked back at the photo. That's not what this looks like. No, Alana said quietly. It's not. She picked up her phone and called Janine. Janine, I need a background trace on Assistant U.S. Attorney Marcus Langston. Most recent address, last known cases, and any disciplinary actions. Now, Angela pointed at the photo. If he was involved in this scene, there's a bigger chain we haven't touched yet. Alana nodded. This isn't just about Brent. Cooper, it's not even about Willowdale anymore. Angela said what they were both thinking. It's federal. In D.C., Marcus Langston sat on the porch of a small cabin in Virginia, far from courtrooms and headlines. His beard had grown out. He looked like a man who had seen things he couldn't unsee. He held a newspaper in his lap. Front page, DOJ prosecutor. VS Police, video sparks, National Inquiry, a picture of Alana Chambers. He touched it gently, almost like a memory. Inside, his phone vibrated. For the first time in months, he answered. This is Marcus. A long pause. Then, Marcus, it's Alana. Silence, she continued. I found a photo from Willowdale, 2016. You were there. You didn't tell anyone. He exhaled. Alana, you shouldn't be calling me. Then why are you in that hallway? Behind 2 cops beating a child. His voice cracked slightly. Because I was there. To stop it. And I failed. She sat down, stunned. Talk to me, she said. You're not ready for what this is, he replied. I don't care. Silence again. Then Marcus spoke slowly. There's a program off the books, hidden inside the DOJ's field oversight units. Years ago, they partnered with select rural PDs, supposedly for testing new policing models. But it became something else, something darker. Alana barely breathed. Willowdale was one of them, Marcus continued. And that boy in the hoodie. He filed a civil suit after that photo. It never saw daylight. I was assigned to monitor the situation quietly. But when I started digging too deep... They buried you, Alana finished. No, Marcus said. They offered me a choice. Disappear quietly or be discredited publicly. She closed her eyes. And you chose silence. He didn't respond. Then she asked, Do you still have your notes? Yes. Then I need them. Everything. I'm coming to you. No, he said. You don't bring heat here. If they know I spoke to you, then meet me halfway. He hesitated. There's a diner off Route 68, 2 hours from D.C., you know it. Yeah. Tomorrow, noon. Booth near the back. Come alone. Click. Alana stared at the phone. Angela stepped forward. What did he say? Alana picked up the photo again. He said, This is bigger than any of us thought. At the Willowdale courthouse, Judge Winthrop sat alone, staring at a USB drive placed on his desk. The envelope it came in was blank. He plugged it in. One file. Hallway, 2016 MP4. He hit play. He watched himself. Not in robes, not with a gavel, but in uniform, standing silently as 2 officers struck a boy again and again, and then, turning away, he unplugged the drive. For the first time in years, he felt afraid, truly afraid. Back at the DOJ field office, Angela printed a report of flagged DOJ-linked cases tied to Willowdale. Alana scanned it. 3 cases, all involving Langston. All sealed. She grabbed a marker and circled them, then picked up her keys. I'm heading to Route 68, she said. Angela raised a brow. Alone? Yes. Angela hesitated. You sure? Alana nodded. It's time to find out how deep this goes. The diner off Route 68 looked like time had forgotten it. A rusted neon sign flickered over a gravel lot. Inside, the booths were cracked vinyl, the floor tiles mismatched, and the jukebox hadn't worked in years. Alana pulled into the lot at exactly 11:58 a.m., parked her car facing the road, and stepped out, wearing dark jeans, a navy coat, and mirrored sunglasses that reflected the barren hills around her. Inside, the waitress barely glanced up as she entered. Marcus Langston was already there, booth in the back, cap low over his brow, coat zipped up despite the heat. She approached slowly. He looked older, thinner, haunted, but his eyes, when they met hers, were still sharp. "You came," he said. She slid into the booth. "You called." Silence passed. Between them, not awkward, just heavy. The waitress appeared. "Coffee?" Alana nodded. Marcus didn't. When she left, Alana leaned forward. "You disappeared. No trace, no warning." "I was warned," Marcus said. "That's why I disappeared." Alana raised a brow. He reached into his coat and pulled out a faded folder, slid it across the table. She opened it. The first page was a memo. "Top secret, internal eyes only." Dated 2014. Rural Integration Behavioral Study, Phase 1 Deployment. Willowdale. Alana's heart skipped. What the hell is this? Marcus spoke low. It started as a DOJ oversight model. The official goal was to test new intervention programs in small-town precincts. On paper, it was clean. De-escalation, training, bias reduction, body cam compliance. But that wasn't what happened. He pointed to the second page. It was a list of names, officers, chiefs, judges, even federal observers. Most of them were familiar. Some were from Willowdale. Some were not. Alana kept flipping. "There were 3 phases," Marcus said. Phase I. Selection. Find towns with weak accountability. Appoint allies in key positions. Monitor community response to aggressive policing. Phase 2. Escalation. Let violations happen. Measure impact. Study silence. Study fear. "And Phase 3? She asked. Marcus looked her dead in the eyes. "Erasure." Alana clenched her jaw. "They experimented with actual civil rights violations." Marcus nodded. "They wanted to understand how far a department could go before a community snapped or submitted," Alana whispered. "Like lab." "Rats." "Exactly," Marcus said. "I was sent in to observe and report. I thought I was helping shut down corruption. But the deeper I looked, the more I realized. It wasn't rogue cops. It was designed that way." Alana sat back. Her stomach churned. Marcus continued. "When I filed my internal memo about Willowdale's abuse trends, suspensions, racial targeting, disappearances, my access was restricted. Within days, my DOJ login failed. My calendar was wiped. My office was reassigned. They ghosted you," she said. He nodded. "And warned me." Alana's fingers tightened on the folder. "How high does this go?" Marcus hesitated, then pulled out one last sheet, a photo, a younger Judge Winthrop shaking hands with a woman wearing a DOJ badge. Alana leaned in. "No way," she breathed. "Yup," Marcus said. "That's Deputy Director Linda Merrick." Alana blinked. "She oversees civil rights." "She oversaw Willowdale," Marcus said. Alana's brain was racing. "She's still in power." Marcus nodded. "And if she gets wind of what you're doing, I won't stop," Alana cut in. Marcus gave a faint smile. "I knew you'd say that." The waitress returned with coffee. Neither of them touched it. "You've got about a week before they start obstructing," Marcus said. "If they haven't already. I've already subpoenaed files. I've already named Winthrop in my draft report." "Good," Marcus said. "Then you're in too deep to back out." Alana exhaled. "I need more documents, witnesses, anything that connects this program to the DOJ officially." Marcus tapped the folder. "There's a drive hidden in my old apartment in Arlington, behind the air vent in the study. It has audio recordings, emails, internal meeting logs. Will it hold in court? If you can stay alive long enough to use it." She didn't flinch. "I've got a team, a federal badge, public opinion. "You'll need more than that," he said. "You'll need the one thing they didn't plan for." "What?" He smiled faintly. "An army of witnesses." Alana stood slowly, folder in hand. "Thank you, Marcus. You're not doing this for me," he said. "You're doing this for everyone they silenced." She paused, then nodded once. "I'll see you on the other side," and walked out. Back. In Willowdale, Angela stood over a newly updated map of reported abuse cases. Red pins marked verified incidents, yellow marked sealed records. She added 3 more red ones and wrote a name on a post-it. Linda Merrick. Behind her, the TV played. A loop of Alana's traffic stop footage, now with headlines that read, "DOJ under fire, how deep does this go?" At DOJ headquarters, Linda Merrick stood at her office window watching traffic below. A staffer entered. "Ma'am, a request just came in from Willowdale's field office. They're asking for archived oversight memos from 2014. Linda turned. "Slowly, who signed the request?" "Chambers." Her face didn't change, but her voice dropped an octave. "Tell it to stall. Claim system maintenance, and find out how much she already knows." The staffer nodded. "And one more thing," Linda said. "Get me everything on Marcus Langston." Alana drove fast. Her jaw clenched, her hands steady. The folder sat beside. But she already knew its weight. The story wasn't just about a racist cop. It was about a system built to protect him. But now she had a new mission: expose them all. The wind carried a chill as they drove into the outskirts of Willowdale, past rusted silos and abandoned barns, until they reached a small, crooked house on the edge of a hill. "Raymond Carter lives here?" Angela asked, reading the faded mailbox. Alana nodded. "Discharged from the Willowdale PD in 2017. Official reason, misconduct, but the complaint came after he filed an anonymous tip to the DOJ, one that mysteriously disappeared." They stepped out of the vehicle. Gravel crunched underfoot. The porch creaked as Alana knocked. No answer. She knocked again. A curtain twitched, then slow footsteps. The door opened halfway. A man in his 60s stared at them, thick beard, one eye milky from damage. He wore a flannel shirt and held a cane. "You're early," he said gruffly. "We didn't call ahead," Alana replied. He grunted. "I've been waiting 7 years." He opened the door fully and stepped aside. "Come in, but I'm not offering." "Coffee!" The living room smelled of tobacco and old paper. Folders were stacked on a dusty bookshelf. A kettle hissed in the corner, ignored. A dusty Medal of Service sat atop the fireplace, half hidden under an old cap. Angela looked around. "You live alone." "Long time now," he muttered. "Wife left when I lost the badge, said I picked a fight with the wrong people." He turned to Alana. "Looks like you're about to do the same." She sat down across from him. "You were a sergeant when Brent Cooper joined the force." He nodded. "Saw him fresh out of academy, eager, aggressive, thought he was untouchable from day one." "What happened?" Ray stared at the flame in his old fireplace. "He got worse. Started pulling over kids just to scare 'em. Targeted immigrants, black folk, would plant fear in your throat before you even spoke." Alana listened. "I filed a report," he continued. "Tried to go through the proper channels. Internal. Affairs ignored it. Then I went to the State Review Board. The day after that, they found a complaint in my file. Said I made inappropriate jokes during shift." "False?" "Of course. I hadn't even been on duty that day." Angela scribbled in her notebook. Alana leaned in. "You ever hear of a program tied to the DOJ? Something called the Rural Integration Behavioral Study?" Ray's face didn't change, but his good eye flicked toward her. "I knew there was something bigger," he said. "Something above local control. We'd get orders from people who didn't wear badges, files we weren't allowed to copy. One time, I saw Winthrop take a sealed envelope from a man in a federal car. No name, no badge, just a symbol." "What symbol?" Ray stood, walked to the shelf, and pulled down a torn notebook. Inside was a rough drawing. Angela's eyes widened. That's the DOJ Internal Operations SEAL, she whispered. But that version hasn't been used in over a decade. Ray nodded. Because they didn't want to leave a paper trail. He turned to Alana. I was there the night they beat that boy in the hallway. 2016. Alana froze. You were there? He nodded. They didn't know I saw it. I was on shift change. Walked in from the south stairwell. Saw Cooper, Bailey, and Winthrop all standing over the kid. No reason, no resistance, just punishment. Alana's voice was tight. Why didn't you speak out publicly? Ray looked at her like she was still too new. Because they would have made me disappear, like they did Marcus. You knew Marcus Langston. Ray smiled sadly. He interviewed me once, off record, told me he'd help. 3 weeks later, he vanished. Nobody even said his name again. Alana placed her phone on the table. Would you be willing to testify? Ray looked at her. His hands trembled slightly. I've been waiting for someone who'd finally do more than ask. He nodded. Yes, I'll testify. Angela smiled. That's our first direct officer statement, Alana added, and we'll protect you. Ray chuckled. Protection doesn't mean much when the enemy wears your flag. She stood. But exposure does. If we can get this to trial, your voice will be heard on national record. No more shadows, no more whispers. Ray handed her the torn notebook. Then take this. It's not much, but it's all I could gather. She opened it. Names, dates, shift logs, off-the-record complaints, officer nicknames linked to known abuse cases. One page stood out, a list titled, Do Not Touch Files. Angela whispered, This is gold. Ray pointed to the last name on the list. Look at that one. Alana read it aloud. Agent Robert C. Harlow. Angela frowned. Never heard of him. Ray nodded. You wouldn't. He wasn't DOJ. He was private sector, contracted by DOJ oversight team, wore a badge, but wasn't one of you. Alana's eyes narrowed. So they were bringing in contractors? Contractors who trained officers off the books, Ray said. I saw him twice, teaching pressure tactics and extraction methods. His motto was, submission before justice, Angela whispered. That's a war doctrine. Exactly, Ray said. Alana stood slowly. Thank you, Ray. You've done more than anyone. He waved her off. I'm just tired of being quiet. She turned to leave. But he called after her. Hey, Chambers. She stopped. I read about your stop, the one with Cooper. Yeah? You didn't flinch. That means you're either crazy or finally the one we've been waiting for. She smiled faintly. Maybe both. Back at the DOJ field office, Angela pinned Ray's notes to the board. Alana added a red circle around 3 new names and wrote a headline on a blank sheet. The whistleblower they tried to bury. In the background, the printer hummed, spitting out subpoenas, each one now backed by a statement from a former officer, a federal agent, a citizen. The wall of silence was cracking. Alana poured coffee, looked at the growing evidence and whispered under her breath, tick, tick, tick. The DOJ's Washington headquarters towered above Constitution Avenue like a monument to order, justice, and power. But inside, deep within sub-levels only accessed by encoded badges, there was a room that never appeared on blueprints. Room 219B, no signs, no labels, no windows, just a steel door, a retinal scanner, and a room full of men and women in plain suits, eyes trained on glowing monitors. At the center stood Deputy Director Linda Merrick. Her hands were folded, her eyes cold. On the main screen, a name flashed in red. Chambers, Alana M. Risk Index, elevated clearance. Full, now Flagada staffer typed rapidly. She's filed 3 subpoenas in the last 24 hours. 2 of them cross into closed oversight. Programs, 1 matches a retired contractor. Robert Harlow, Linda asked. Yes, ma'am. Pull his NDA, find out if he's spoken to anyone recently. He's off-grid. Last trace pinged near Montana. Linda didn't blink. Double his watch status and put a quiet flag on Chambers' field team. No alerts, just eyes. Another analyst turned from his screen. Ma'am, She's requested access to the 2014 Phase 1 oversight files. Linda narrowed her gaze. Deny it. Classify under Tier 4. She's already listed as Tier 1 clearance. Linda's voice was firm. Revoke it. The room went still. And if she escalates? Linda turned slowly. Then we file a counter-risk assessment, mental health instability, erratic behavior due to personal trauma. If necessary, we detain her under Section 103. But she hasn't. Linda cut him off. She will. Across the city, Alana stepped out of a cab in front of the DOJ's Public Records Division. She adjusted her coat, briefcase in hand, and entered the glass building with steady eyes. Angela followed closely behind, clipboard ready, here to collect archived memos under FOIA 313A, Alana told the clerk. The woman at the desk smiled politely. "One moment," she typed, paused, then frowned. "I'm sorry, Miss Chambers. Your clearance has been restricted for classified materials." Alana blinked. "What?" "It says you've been flagged. Tier 1 access is suspended pending review." Angela's jaw dropped. "I need those records," Alana said sharply. The clerk leaned in and whispered, "You might want to call someone high up. This isn't a clerical error." Alana turned, lips tight, and exited the building. Angela caught up. "This is retaliation." "No," Alana said. "It's a signal." Back at the Willowdale field office, Alana called Marcus from a secure line. "They pulled my clearance," Marcus exhaled. "They're scared. I need another route." "Use the oversight archives in Fairfax. Older tech, slower system, but less controlled." "I'm on it," she said. Before she could hang up, Marcus added, "Watch your back, Alana. You're not just exposing a town anymore. You're exposing the structure around it." She nodded, then clicked off. Angela entered, with a worried look. "You need to see this." She handed over a printed screenshot from a leaked online thread. The post read, "They're calling her unstable. DOJ agent investigating Willowdale. High-value target. Internal leak says she's being watched." Beneath it, a blurred photo of Alana. Walking into court, Alana stared. "They're trying to discredit me." Angela nodded. "Classic move. Undermine the truth by questioning the messenger. I want press, national civil rights networks. If they're going to come after me, I'll do it under the spotlight." The next morning, Alana sat down with journalist Kendra Rowan, known for her fearless reporting on government overreach. Kendra clicked her recorder. "Off record first?" "Off record," Alana agreed. "Are you saying the DOJ created a program to test human behavior under racial pressure inside rural police forces?" "Yes." "And you have proof?" "Documents, witnesses, a contractor's name, a retired officer's notes, a disappeared prosecutor." Kendra leaned in. "Do you understand what happens if this story breaks wide open?" "Yes," Alana said. "They'll come for me harder." Kendra nodded. "Then let's get loud." Back in room 219B, alarms blinked across monitors. "Roan just met with Chambers," an analyst said. "That's a problem." Linda Merrick spoke. "Two words: smear her." The analyst paused. "How?" "Leak her sealed family court records. Twist the narrative. Emotional instability. Weaponize her privacy. And the article? Preempt it. Feed her name to a fringe blog. Make her look like a rogue conspiracy theorist before the story goes mainstream." "Yes, ma'am." As the analyst moved to obey, another turned around. "Ma'am, we just lost trace on Robert Harlow." Linda narrowed her eyes. "Find him." Before she does. That night, Alana sat in the dark office alone. The board was full now. Names, lines, arrows. Every thread tied together. Cooper, Winthrop, Harlow, Langston, Merrick, and in the middle, Willowdale. The storm had started with a scream and a gun. Now it echoed in marble hallways and federal firewalls. She sipped her cold coffee, then picked up a Sharpie and wrote 3 final words across the whiteboard: "No going back." The Fairfax archives looked like a forgotten record center on the outside. Grey concrete, fogged glass, and a rusting security gate that creaked when it opened. But Alana knew better. This building was where bureaucracy went to rot, the last. Stop for files they didn't want to delete, but didn't want found either. Inside, the smell of aged paper and basement mildew hit like a wave. Rows of steel shelves stretched endlessly in every direction. No digital screens, just binders, boxes, and manila envelopes. Angela clicked on a flashlight. "I swear this place looks like a horror movie set." "Good," Alana said. "That means no one else is watching." They reached the back room, section D16. It was marked Pre-Classification Holding, Obsolete DOJ Programs. Alana held up a key Marcus had given her. Said he hid something here, audio evidence, testimony from inside. Angela scanned. How would he have recorded that? He said they used a phone line back in 2016. Internal call. Someone inside called him by mistake. Didn't hang up. She found the drawer. Box 1440. Langston, Willowdale, Pilot Angela pulled it down. They opened it together. Dozens of cassette tapes. Seriously. Angela said, "Cassettes? Welcome to 2016 DOJ Tech." Alana flipped through one by one until she found it. Int log LMWH 06.19/2016 audio only. She pulled out an old recorder from her bag. Marcus had given her that too. She clicked it on, inserted the tape, hit play, and the room fell silent. Start of audio, voice 1, female. "We need to keep Willowdale stable through the summer. The numbers are where we want them." Voice 2, male. "And the oversight request from Langston?" Voice 1, "Ignore it. He's too idealistic and too loud." Voice 2, "He's asking about Cooper." Voice 1, "Cooper's useful, aggressive. Control breeds measurable fear. That's what we're testing. Fear tolerance across demographic brackets." Voice 2, "And if he goes too far?" Voice 1, "Then we cover it. That's the deal. DOJ protects the operation until we close the phase." Voice 2, "And the prosecutor?" Voice 1, "If Langston pushes it, we break him. It's already set." Voice 2, "And the files?" Voice 1, "We bury them. Everything gets buried." End of audio. Angela's hand shook. Alana pressed pause, rewound, played the last 3 lines again. "We bury them. Everything gets buried." Angela whispered, "Is that Merrick?" Alana said, "That's Linda Merrick's voice." They stood in silence, the old lights above them flickering. "This is the case," Angela said. "This is the smoking gun." "No," Alana said. "This is the match. The fire's still coming." She snapped the tape out, placed it in a sealed evidence bag, and secured it in her coat. "We go public now. No waiting. This hits every major network tonight." Angela nodded, but as they turned to leave, the lights cut out. Total darkness. Angela froze. "That wasn't us." From the hallway, footsteps, then a voice. "You weren't supposed to find that." Alana spun around. 2 men in tactical coats stepped into the frame of the room. No badges, no names. "Ma'am," one said calmly, "you're trespassing on federal property. We'll need that tape." Angela instinctively reached in to show her coat, but Alana stopped her. "We're federal too," Alana said coldly. "And this is evidence." "No," the man said. "That's leverage, and we're under orders to destroy it." Alana stepped forward. "You want it," she said, voice ice cold. "Then arrest me. Let the whole world see who takes me down." "For uncovering the truth." Silence. The taller agent hesitated. "We can't let that leave this building." Alana smiled. "Then you better hope I didn't make a copy." The men exchanged glances and backed off. "We'll see you again," one said. "Soon." Alana and Angela walked out, slowly, not running, never showing fear. They stepped into the cold daylight, and Alana didn't speak until they were in the car. Angela drove. Alana held the tape close to her chest. "Now we burn everything they built," she said. Angela turned to her. "And if they come for you?" Alana looked out the window. "They already Have. That evening, Kendra Rohn sat in a dimly lit editing studio, headphones on, listening to the tape on repeat. At 8:13 p.m., she called her editor. I have it. The confession. I'm going live in 2 hours. You sure? The editor asked. Once this hits, Kendra nodded. There's no turning back. Back at DOJ headquarters, Linda Merrick entered room 219B. Where's the tape? She asked. A tech responded. They walked out with it. We were ordered to stand down. Linda turned slowly. Who gave that order? Silence. No one answered. That's when she realized someone else in the DOJ was now watching her. The studio lights were hot. Alana sat perfectly still beneath them, composed in a tailored black blazer, hair pulled back, eyes sharp. Kendra Rohn sat opposite her, posture leaned forward like a hawk ready to strike. You've confirmed this is Deputy Director Merrick's voice on the tape? Yes, Alana said, without a doubt. And you're stating, on record, that a covert DOJ program allowed local police departments to test fear on marginalized communities. Alana didn't blink. That's correct. The camera zoomed closer. And what's next? Kendra asked. You've shaken the country. Where does this go? Alana looked straight into the lens. It goes to court. Back at the DOJ's Crisis Response Center, a room filled with suits buzzed around a single monitor replaying Alana's interview. She went live with it, someone said. Linda Merrick stood at the center, jaw tight. They're calling her. A whistleblower. A hero, another agent muttered. The White House press secretary dodged 5 questions on it this morning. Linda didn't respond. Instead, she tapped her fingers slowly against the table, then turned to the man beside her. Send the message. The next morning, at 5:14 a.m., Alana's personal phone buzzed. Unknown number. One text. Not everyone you protect will survive this. Not everyone you love. Below it, a photo, her mother's front porch. Alana stared. No words, no number to call back. Angela walked in moments later, holding coffee. She saw Alana's face. What is it? Alana silently handed her the phone. Angela froze. We need to move her now. She's already in safe housing. DOJ marshals. Then we double it. Alana stood. Her voice didn't shake. They're getting desperate. Angela asked, Should we tell the press? Alana shook her head. No, that gives them power. Angela nodded. Then what do we do? Alana looked toward the board, covered in names, arrows, red lines, audio evidence. We answer them, in court. 2 days later, the hearing room was packed, cameras outside, whispers inside, every seat taken. The Congressional Oversight Committee had moved fast, partly due to media heat, partly because the DOJ's own internal watchdog had quietly stepped forward. Alana sat at the front. Angela beside her, Ray Carter behind them, Terence Hall 2 rows back, Marcus Langston in a dark suit, his return still unofficial but undeniable. Across the aisle, Linda Merrick, composed, silent. The chair banged the gavel. Today's hearing concerns the legality, ethics, and operational secrecy of an alleged DOJ-sanctioned behavioral study known as the Rural Integration Program. We call upon Senior Federal Prosecutor Alana Chambers to begin her testimony. Alana stood. No papers, no script, just truth. She faced the panel. My name is Alana Marie Chambers. I've served the Department of Justice for 11 years. I've prosecuted hate crimes, civil rights violations, and police corruption. I've never broken a rule, until now. She paused. In pursuing the truth about Willowdale's police force, I uncovered something larger. An operation buried inside. Our own agency, not rogue, not accidental, designed. Gasps rippled through the room. She continued. This operation measured fear. It allowed abuse. It rewarded silence. It took towns like Willowdale and used them as social laboratories. Officers like Brent Cooper weren't punished. They were protected. She looked toward Linda Merrick, and the person who ran it sat. At the very top, The room exploded in murmurs. Linda remained expressionless. "I present to this committee," Alana said, "audio evidence of a conversation between Merrick and another federal official discussing this exact program and outlining efforts to discredit those who exposed it." The recording played. Dead silence followed. Alana finished. "This wasn't justice. This was manipulation disguised as order. And now that the truth is out, we decide whether we bury it again or face it." The chair leaned forward. "Ms. Chambers, you understand the danger you've placed yourself in?" "I do. You understand that this could compromise your position, your future in the DOJ?" She nodded. "Yes, but if that future means silence, I don't want it." The gavel slammed down again. "This committee will now review the presented evidence and, pending verification, will recommend criminal referrals, including obstruction of justice, abuse of federal authority, and civil rights violations." Alana sat down. Angela grabbed her hand under the table. "You did it." "No," Alana whispered. "We just opened the gates." Outside, protesters flooded the courthouse steps. "Justice for Willowdale. Fear is not a policy. Chambers speaks for us news." Anchors swarmed every inch of sidewalk. Inside a car, a man watched it all unfold. He picked up a secure phone. "She's still standing," a voice on the other end growled. "Then push harder." Click. Back inside the courtroom building, Alana packed her files. Angela leaned in. "You're not done, are you?" Alana zipped her bag. "No, now comes the trial." Angela hesitated. "What if they try to bury it again?" Alana's eyes burned. "Then we dig louder." The courtroom was colder than it needed to be. Marble walls, mahogany benches, cameras in the back. The air smelled like nerves and old paper. At the front, the seal of the United States Department of Justice. This time, it wasn't a shield. It was a spotlight. The trial of United States versus Linda Merrick had officially begun. Alana sat at the witness table, right hand raised. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do." Her voice didn't waver. The prosecutor approached. "State your name and title." "Alana Marie Chambers, Senior Federal Prosecutor, Civil Rights Division." "Miss Chambers, can you confirm that you investigated the Willowdale Police Department?" "Yes." "And what did you find?" Alana took a breath. "A systemic pattern of abuse protected by internal DOJ leadership under a covert program designed to test civilian response to racialized policing." The crowd murmured. The prosecutor raised a hand. "And did you bring proof?" "I did." She held up the sealed envelope, the audio files, forensic analysis, and chain of custody, then pointed at the screen behind her. It flickered on. The audio tape played again. Fear tolerance across demographic brackets. The room stiffened. When it ended, the judge leaned forward. "The jury will consider this as admitted evidence." Then came the silence before the storm. The defense. Rose Linda Merrick's lead attorney, William T. Holcomb, old money, Southern charm. Sharp as a blade, he walked up slowly, like a man who'd skinned prosecutors for sport. "Miss Chambers, you're very passionate." "About justice," she replied. Holcomb smirked. "That's nice. Now, let's talk about you." Angela stiffened. "In the gallery, is it true," Holcomb began, "that you were pulled over by Officer Brent Cooper, and rather than file a standard report, you leveraged the incident for political attention?" "No," Alana said calmly. "Is it true that you called national press before submitting your formal complaint?" "I did not. They reached out to me after the video leaked." "Right," Holcomb nodded. "And is it also true that you were once counseled for overreach during an internal investigation in 2018? Alana's eyes narrowed. "That incident was resolved. The review cleared me fully." "But it happened?" "Yes. And now here you are, again, making explosive claims against your own agency." "Not claims," she said. "Evidence." He leaned in. Or maybe you've simply made a career out of trying to burn down every room you're in. Objection. Sustained, the judge snapped. Holcomb turned. I'll rephrase. Ms. Chambers, isn't it true you're emotionally driven, difficult to supervise, and motivated by ego? Ilana leaned forward. No, Mr. Holcomb. I'm motivated by the people who never get their day in court. A pause. People like Terence Hall? The courtroom turned. Terence stood slowly in the gallery. The prosecutor gestured. Your Honor, we'd like to call Mr. Hall to the stand. The judge nodded. Terence walked forward, nervous but steady, hand raised. Sworn in. Mr. Hall, Alana's team began. Can you describe what happened the day you were pulled over? He took a breath. I was assaulted by Officer Cooper while another man watched and said, be glad we didn't do worse. That man was Winthrop. And did you file a complaint? I did. And what happened? They said there was no evidence, that my word wasn't enough. Do you see Ms. Merrick in the room? He nodded. Did you know she was in charge of the program that buried your case? Terence's voice was calm now. I do now. Silence. Holcomb stood. Mr. Hall, you have no formal legal training, correct? No. You've never served in law enforcement? No. So, your word against theirs. Terence looked straight at the jury. No, my word plus this time, everyone's watching. The jury's eyes softened. One leaned back, visibly moved. Ray Carter was next. Then Angela, then Marcus Langston. One by one, they told the same story from different corners of the machine. By the time Alana returned to the stand for redirect, the energy in the room had shifted. Holcomb looked tired now. He tried one last swing. You risked your career, your life, your family. Was it worth it? Alana stared at him. Yes. He blinked. Why? She glanced toward the gallery, at Terence, at Ray, at Angela, at Marcus, then at the empty seat reserved for every unnamed victim who never got here. Because silence was never safety, and justice was never theirs to decide. The courtroom exploded in applause before the judge banged the gavel. Order! This is a federal court! But the people had already heard what they came for. Linda Merrick never took the stand. She didn't have to. The silence was louder than anything she could say. Outside, reporters stormed the courthouse steps. Alana, did you expect this response? What happens if the jury doesn't convict? Do you still work for the DOJ? She paused, looked straight at the cameras, and said one line, This isn't about me. It's about what happens next. The jury filed in at 9:47 a.m. 12 strangers, now holding the weight of a nation on their shoulders. Their expressions were unreadable. Their silence was deafening. Alana sat at the front, back straight, fingers intertwined in her lap. Linda Merrick sat just 10 feet away, still unflinching. The judge cleared his throat. As the jury reached a verdict, a woman in a grey sweater stood, trembling slightly, and handed the bailiff a folded slip of paper. The courtroom leaned in. The judge opened it, nodded once. He looked at the jury, then at the room. In the matter of United States versus Linda Merrick, on the charge of obstruction of justice, how do you find? The forewoman's voice was steady now. Guilty. Murmurs rippled through the room. On the charge of conspiracy to falsify federal oversight. Reports? Guilty. On the charge of depriving U.S. citizens of civil rights under color of law? Guilty. The room gasped. Alana closed her eyes just for a second. Not relief, just release. Linda Merrick didn't speak, didn't blink. The judge banged the gavel once. This court stands adjourned. People stood. Some cried, some clapped. Outside the crowd had already begun to form, signs in hand. Phones raised. Believe in justice. Chambers for egg. The system is not a god. The cameras zoomed in as Alana stepped out of the courthouse. Marcus stood beside her, Angela just behind. Ray Carter and Terence Hall both flanking her like silent sentinels. A reporter shouted, Alana, what happens now? She paused at the top of the steps. The sun was hot on her face. The world was watching. Every breath, every syllable now belonged to more than just her. So she spoke, slow, clear, unapologetic. This verdict is not the end. It is proof. Proof that no one is above the law. Not a badge, not a title, not a desk in Washington. Cheers erupted. She raised a hand. But let me be honest. The crowd quieted again. This verdict will not fix every broken precinct. It won't stop every abuse. It won't erase every fear that lives in our communities. But what it does, she took a step down, is tell the next whistleblower, the next survivor, the next forgotten name in a sealed folder, that they are not alone anymore. Applause exploded. Angela whispered, "They're going to ask what your next move is." Alana glanced at her. They already have. Later that evening, Alana sat alone in her hotel room, suit jacket off, hair down, phone buzzing non-stop, emails, interview requests, endorsements, offers from non-profits, media outlets, book deals, speaking tours. One unread email sat at the top, from U.S. Attorney General's office. Subject, consideration, Civil Rights Division lead appointment. She stared at it, didn't open it. Instead, she walked to the window and looked out at D.C., the city she had fought for, the city that had nearly swallowed her. Angela entered holding a folder. "They want a response by Friday," she said. "I know." Angela paused. "If you stay, you could rebuild this division from the inside." Alana turned to her. "And if I leave, I could burn down every shield they hide behind." Angela smiled faintly. "Either way, they're not sleeping easy tonight." Alana exhaled. "What would you do?" she asked. Angela shrugged. "Doesn't matter. You've already made your decision." Alana tilted her head. "Have I?" Angela pointed to the whiteboard, where one name still circled in red. Robert C. Harlow. Status unfound. Angela handed her a second folder. "No one's talking about him yet. No press, no leaks. He's the next phase." Alana looked at the folder, then at the unopened email again. She didn't click it. She whispered, "One more." Angela nodded. "I'll book the flights." 2 days later, a new headline swept the country. Chambers declines DOJ promotion, forms independent task force to hunt remaining operatives underneath it. Her quote, "Justice is not a desk. It's a direction, and I'm still moving." In a small apartment in Chicago, a mother held her son close and pointed to the TV. "That's her," she said. "That's the woman who made them listen." The boy watched in silence, then whispered, "Can I be like her?" His mother smiled, eyes glassy. "You already are."